My husband kicked me out of our home and handed over everything we built to his young mistress. All I had left was a tattered old debit card my late father gave me years ago. I was certain it was empty. But when I finally used it, it left the bank manager shaking in disbelief. Drop your city in the comments right now, family. Which part of the world are you watching from? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can uncover this incredible turnaround story together. The thick, sticky heat of another brutal Atlanta summer wrapped around Aisha like a heavy blanket the instant she stepped out of the rideshare car. She had just endured 2 exhausting weeks in a remote, dusty little town deep in Alabama's countryside by her mother's bedside as she fought a serious illness. Finally, with her mom stable and on the road to recovery, Aisha was heading back to the life she knew. Her luxurious high-rise condo in the heart of the city, and most importantly, the embrace of her husband, Marcus. Hauling her small suitcase through the polished marble lobby of the Pinnacle, one of Buckhead's most elite residential buildings, Aisha managed a weary but genuine smile as the private elevator whisked her to the penthouse level. The long trip had drained her completely, but the thought of being home filled her with quiet joy. The hallway was refreshingly cool and silent, lined with elegant artwork. She stopped at the door marked 40 billion, their sanctuary. Fishing through her purse, Aisha pulled out the electronic key fob. She held it to the reader. Beep beep, flashing red, access denied. Confused, she tried again. Same result. That's odd, she whispered to herself. Maybe it got demagnetized during the flight. She rang the doorbell once, twice. Silence at first, then muffled footsteps inside. The lock turned with a soft click and the door swung open. Marcus stood there. But this wasn't the loving partner she'd married 12 years ago. His expression was distant, almost hostile. He wore a luxurious silk robe loosely tied, and across his neck was a vivid streak of bright coral lipstick that definitely wasn't hers. "You're back early," he said coolly. No warmth, no welcome hug. Aisha's heart skipped. "Marcus, honey, why isn't my key working?" "I changed the locks," he replied flatly, not moving from the doorway. From deeper inside the condo came a light, playful giggle. "Babe, who's there? If it's another salesperson, tell them we're not interested." A strikingly beautiful woman appeared behind him, far younger than Aisha, with flawless skin and long waves of hair. Aisha recognized her instantly. Tiana, the ambitious social media influencer whose provocative posts had always made Aisha uneasy. Tiana was draped in Aisha's personal silk robe, the luxurious one Aisha had splurged on for their last anniversary, soft ivory with delicate embroidery. Tiana's gaze raked over Aisha slowly, taking in the simple travel clothes, the dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights at the hospital, the battered suitcase. "Oh wow," Tiana said with a syrupy smirk. "It's not sales. It's the previous wife." "Previous wife?" Aisha's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Tears pricked her eyes. "Marcus, what is this? Who is she doing in our home? Why is she wearing my robe?" Marcus let out a heavy sigh, like Aisha was an inconvenient errand. "This is over, Aisha. We should discuss it downstairs. No need for a scene up here." He stepped into the hallway and closed the door firmly behind him, leaving Tiana's triumphant grin visible through the narrowing gap. The elevator descent was agonizingly quiet. Aisha felt numb, her mind racing but unable to process the betrayal unfolding. The faint scent of Tiana's cloying, expensive perfume clung to Marcus's robe, turning Aisha's stomach. The doors opened to the bustling lobby during evening rush. Residents and visitors glanced curiously. Marcus strode purposefully to a secluded corner near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the endless traffic on Peachtree Street. Aisha followed mechanically, her legs heavy. "Marcus, please explain this to me," she pleaded softly. "What's left to explain?" he said coldly. "We're done, it's finished." Just like that, after everything, 12 years of marriage. After I stood by you when your business was struggling, when I cared for your father during his illness, when we built this life from nothing, he chuckled bitterly without a trace of remorse. Built from nothing, let's be real, Aisha. My success is my own grind. You were supportive, sure, but lately, running off to that nowhere town to play caretaker for your mother, you neglected your role here. My role? Yes, look at yourself, exhausted, disheveled. I'm a leading property developer now. I need a partner who elevates me, not someone stuck in housewife mode. The words hit like physical blows. This man felt like a complete stranger. Tiana. It's been her this whole time I've been gone, nearly a year, he admitted shamelessly. She understands my vision, she fits my life. A security guard approached then, pushing a worn-out duffel bag, the very one they'd used when they first arrived in Atlanta with big dreams and little money. Marcus grabbed it and let it drop at Aisha's feet. Some clothes tumbled out along with a plain envelope. Your belongings, I donated the rest, these are signed divorce papers. Everything, the condo, vehicles, company is titled in my name. You entered this marriage empty-handed, you're leaving the same way. Tears streamed down Aisha's face. This wasn't mere separation, it was complete erasure. You can't just, I already have. His eyes were steel. Sign them, cooperate, and I might spot you bus money back to Alabama. Onlookers whispered now. Aisha felt utterly exposed, vulnerable under the bright lobby lights. Security, Marcus called sharply. The same guards who'd once greeted them warmly approached awkwardly. Ma'am, please, no disturbances, one muttered, taking her elbow gently but firmly. They escorted her toward the exit. Aisha twisted back. Marcus, please don't do this. He didn't even glance, turning straight for the elevator. From the mezzanine above, Tiana leaned on the railing, watching with satisfied glee. The heavy glass doors sealed shut behind her. 12 years vanished in an instant. Aisha stood on the busy sidewalk as dusk fell, clutching the old bag and those humiliating papers. Night descended quickly. Lights flickered on, but Aisha's world remained dark. She wandered aimlessly, car horns blaring like accusations. She couldn't burden her recovering mother with this devastation. Her feet eventually led her to Centennial Olympic Park. She sank onto a vacant bench, gazing blankly at the illuminated skyline. Hunger clawed at her, she hadn't eaten properly in days. Tempting aromas wafted from nearby patios. Sizzling barbecue, fresh cornbread, sweet peach cobbler, laughter from young couples strolling hand in hand echoed around her. Aisha felt like a shadow, unseen, irrelevant. She unzipped the duffel, checking the wallet Marcus had tossed in. Barely $12 in cash, not enough for even a budget motel. Phone battery critically low, she hurriedly opened their joint banking app. Balance, $0. He'd wiped it clean, including her personal savings from before the marriage. Despair crashed over her like a wave. Tonight, she'd be homeless. Silent tears fell as she rummaged deeper. Behind a faded photo of her father was something else, a battered, edge-worn debit card from Southern Heritage Bank, a small, traditional community institution. Memories rushed back. Her father, Benjamin Adami, a modest cotton merchant who'd passed 9 years ago just before her wedding, had pressed it into her hand when she was 17, heading off to college. Guard this carefully, my precious girl, he'd said tenderly, eyes full of quiet wisdom. It's a separate account I set up just for you, only touch it in true emergency. Pretend it doesn't exist otherwise. Daddy, how much is inside? His mysterious smile. Enough to steady you when the waters get rough, but row your own boat as long as possible. She never used it. Life moved fast. Studies, meeting Marcus, supporting his ambitions, it faded from mind. Tonight her boat wasn't rocking, it was shattered. Still, perhaps it held enough for a ticket out of this nightmare. A fragile thread of hope sparked. She gripped the card tightly and huddled under a closed storefront awning, waiting for dawn, cold, starving, terrified. But that small piece of plastic felt like a lifeline in her palm. Part 2 of 6 by 8 o'clock the next morning, after a sleepless night curled up against the chill on a hard sidewalk bench, Aisha was already standing outside the unassuming branch of Southern Heritage Bank on a quiet downtown Atlanta side street. The old brick building looked frozen in time with its faded sign and heavy wooden doors, nothing like the sleek modern branches where Marcus managed his high-rolling accounts. She pushed through the entrance, the bell jingling softly. Inside, the air carried that familiar scent of aged paper, polished wood, and faint dust from decades of quiet transactions. Only 2 teller windows and a small customer service desk. Aisha took a ticket from the dispenser and sat in one of the worn leather chairs. She was the only customer, her reflection in the polished floor showing a woman who looked like she'd been through a storm. Clothes wrinkled from the night outdoors, hair unkempt, eyes red from crying. Soon, a young teller called her number. His name tag read Jamal, mid-20s, polite smile, crisp white shirt. Good morning, ma'am. "How may I assist you today?" Jamal's kindness was genuine, but Aisha caught the slight hesitation in his eyes as he took in her exhausted appearance. "Morning," she replied, her throat dry and voice hoarse. "I'd like to check the balance on this card, if it's even still valid. It's extremely old and I've completely forgotten the PIN." She slid the worn, peeling debit card across the counter. Jamal picked it up carefully, flipping it over with raised eyebrows. "Ma'am, this is seriously vintage. We phased out this design ages ago. Let me try pulling it up." He verified her ID against the name Aisha Ademi, then began typing slowly on his outdated terminal. The system hummed and clicked, taking its time. Aisha's heart raced with a mix of dread and faint hope. Minutes felt like hours. He frowned at the screen. "It's not loading immediately. This account shows as dormant, very dormant." "When was your last transaction?" Aisha swallowed. "At least 12 years, probably longer." Jamal's eyes widened slightly. "That explains it. I'll access the legacy archive server. One moment." His fingers tapped rapidly. The monitor flickered with lines of old-school green text that meant nothing to Aisha. The only sounds were the soft whir of the air conditioner and distant traffic outside. She bit her lip, bracing for the worst. "Account closed, funds forfeited long ago." Then Jamal paused, leaning closer. "There's a special alert flag here, high priority. I've never seen this code before." "Alert? Does that mean penalties?" "Overdraft? No, ma'am, nothing like that." He entered another sequence. The screen shifted dramatically. Jamal's relaxed posture vanished. Color drained from his face as he stared, transfixed. He reread the display, mouth slightly agape, then swallowed hard. Suddenly, he bolted upright, his chair screeching backward across the tile. "Mr. Langston, manager, quick!" From a glass-walled office emerged a distinguished older black man in a sharp suit, silver at his temples, expression stern. "Mr. Langston, the branch manager." "Jamal, what's with the shouting? We have standards, even with one client." "Sir, I'm sorry, but you have to see this right now." Jamal's finger trembled as he pointed at the monitor. Mr. Langston approached with mild annoyance, but one look froze him mid-step. His professional mask cracked, confusion, then outright shock washing over his features. He glanced at Aisha, back to the screen, then again. "Mrs. Aisha Ademi?" His voice, usually commanding, now quivered. "Yes," she whispered, fear rising. "Please, what's wrong? Did my father owe money? Was there some trouble?" Jamal hurriedly switched his station to closed and dimmed the monitor. "Ma'am, please come with me to the manager's office. Immediately." Suddenly, they treated her with deep respect, almost reverence. Jamal led her quickly down a short hall while Mr. Langston followed, hands visibly shaking as he unlocked his private office door. Inside the cozy, book-lined room with old family photos on the walls, he locked the door behind them and gestured for her to sit. "Our apologies for the surprise, ma'am. This is highly unusual." Aisha's mind spun. "Please just tell me, is it bad news? A massive debt?" Mr. Langston managed a nervous chuckle as he powered on his desktop. "Bad? No, ma'am, quite the opposite." He swiveled the monitor toward her. Jamal stood nearby, holding his breath. The display wasn't a simple balance, it showed a complex organizational chart. "This isn't an ordinary savings account," Mr. Langston explained softly, awe in his tone. "It's the master access key to a private holding entity, Ademi Family Trust LLC, incorporated by your father Benjamin Ademi back in 1997. It lay dormant for over 2 decades. Aisha blinked. "But Daddy was only a cotton merchant, traveling salesman, really." "That's the story he preferred," Mr. Langston said gently. "In truth, he was far more a brilliant land investor who built quietly. Preferred to stay under the radar." He clicked through tabs, asset inventories, deeds, valuations. "The trust owns outright 2,000 acres of premium peach orchards and prime farmland in central Georgia. Full title transferred to you as sole heir with one extraordinary protective clause. Automatic full activation and unrestricted access triggers only under specific conditions. When the beneficiary attempts inquiry while their linked personal accounts register zero balance." Essentially, in a moment of true desperation, Aisha's breath caught. Her father had anticipated betrayal, hardship, predators. He'd armored her future without her knowing. The numbers on screen weren't cash, they were acreage, projected yields, appraised values in the tens of millions. She didn't scream or faint. The exhaustion, hunger, raw humiliation of the previous day melted away. In its place surged something powerful: clarity, steel resolve. Images of Marcus's cold dismissal and Tiana's smug victory flashed in her mind. "Mr. Langston," Aisha said, her voice suddenly calm and firm, surprising even herself. "How do I assume full control of this trust today?" He regarded her with newfound respect. "The moment you accessed with verified zero personal balance the clause engaged, it's already yours. Our private wealth team awaits your instructions." Jamal quietly poured water and set it before her. She ignored it. "What more do you know about my father?" Mr. Langston retrieved a thick, yellowed folder from a secure drawer. "He was among our most valued legacy clients, left explicit directions and this to be opened only upon activation." He handed her a sealed envelope, handwriting unmistakable, her father's. Aisha's hands trembled as she tore it open. Inside, his familiar neat script: "My beloved daughter Aisha, if this letter finds you, two paths led here. I've gone to rest and you're stepping fully into your own, or life has tested you harshly. I presented as a simple merchant, yes, but I saw too much injustice, especially toward good-hearted black women like your mother and you. I built a safeguard not to indulge but to empower when cornered." The desperation trigger was deliberate. "Your kindness is your strength, but I feared it could attract exploiters if wealthy too soon or leave you vulnerable if not. My one regret, hoping you'd never need this, but if you do, stand tall. No tears of defeat, no revenge through pain, build an enduring realm, make the world regret underestimating you. Your anchor is set, now sail strong, my angel. With eternal love." Daddy tears fell, not sorrow, but profound gratitude and fire. He'd foreseen men like Marcus long before they appeared. Aisha wiped her face decisively. "I need 3 immediate actions." "Of course, ma'am." "First, substantial cash withdrawal." "I have literally nothing." "Jamal, process from the operational reserve." "Second, secure, discreet lodging tonight, far from the pinnacle. We maintain preferred rates at top hotels." "Arranged." "Third, complete trust documentation, asset reports, and connect me with the premier corporate restructuring specialist in Midtown, one unknown to Marcus." Mr. Langston smiled faintly, impressed by her swift composure. "I know exactly who. They call him the Fixer. Costly, brilliant, ice cold, name's Malik. Excellent. Handle the cash, hotel, and introduction." Aisha bypassed the suggested hotel. Predictability was danger. With a cash envelope that felt surreal, she acquired a new phone and line, fresh wardrobe basics, and checked into the Ritz-Carlton under an alias. For 24 hours, she secluded herself. Steaming baths, proper meals via room service, uninterrupted sleep. Processing ruin and rebirth in one whirlwind day. Next dawn, no casual call to Malik. She dressed neatly and marched into his towering Midtown office unannounced. "Mr. Malik, please, no appointment." His receptionist hesitated. "He's fully scheduled." "Inform him." Aisha Adami, principal of Adami Family Trust LLC, 2,000 acres activated. Critical matter. Acreage opened doors. Minutes later, she entered his minimalist corner suite overlooking the city. Malik, sharp-featured, mid-30s, sleeves rolled, no tie, eyed her analytically. "You have 8 minutes, Miss Adami." "The trust awakened yesterday," she stated, taking a seat uninvited. "Massive agribusiness holdings dormant for decades. I'm inexperienced in this arena. Plus a complicating factor, which is imminent ex-husband, prominent developer Marcus, believes he can stake claims. He knows nothing yet." Malik's interest sharpened. "Your objectives? Comprehensive overhaul. Transform dormant assets into modern, profitable operation. Full audit. Mentor me in wielding this leverage and strategize the incoming conflict. Rates are premium. Expected, no personal vendettas. This is calculated business evolution. Personal elements are incidental fuel." Malik's first real smile flickered. "We start immediately." Yesterday, weeks blurred into a relentless grind of discovery and reinvention. Atlanta's tight-knit business world remained oblivious to the storm brewing in discreet conference rooms and late-night strategy sessions. Aisha and Malik, along with a hand-picked team of sharp analysts and legal experts, worked tirelessly, often 18-hour days, dissecting every layer of Adami Family Trust LLC. The revelations kept coming. Her father's quiet genius went beyond mere land purchases. He'd strategically acquired minority stakes in several regional agricultural processing firms and supply chain companies back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Those modest investments, left untouched, had compounded dramatically as the organic and sustainable food markets exploded. Current valuations placed those holdings alone in the eight-figure range with untapped potential for active management. Aisha absorbed it all with fierce intensity. She pored over soil reports, crop rotation schedules, commodity market trends, water rights documentation, and zoning regulations. Malik guided her through financial modeling, risk assessment, and growth projections. What started as overwhelming jargon became her new language. She asked probing questions, challenged assumptions, and sketched bold ideas on whiteboards until the early hours. Malik observed the metamorphosis quietly. This wasn't a client crumbling under sudden wealth or seeking flashy revenge. Aisha was methodical, focused like a scholar mastering a complex field overnight. Her notes filled binders. Her laptop brimmed with spreadsheets and annotated reports. Externally, the change was just as dramatic. The woman who'd arrived disheveled at the bank began shedding her old skin. With guidance from a discreet stylist Malik connected her with, she revamped everything. Long, neglected hair became a sleek, chin-length bob that framed her face with authority. Contacts gave way to chic reading glasses that added intellectual edge. Her wardrobe shifted to bespoke pieces, tailored blazers in rich jewel tones, silk blouses, pencil skirts, and trousers that commanded respect without screaming for attention. Heels replaced flats, subtle gold jewelry replaced none. Makeup became polished, defined brows, natural glow, bold lips on key days. The most striking shift was internal, reflected in her posture and gaze. Fear evaporated. Calculation and quiet confidence took root. One overcast afternoon in a secure temporary office suite, Malik closed a thick valuation report. "You're ready to re-enter the arena on your terms." Aisha nodded, resolve burning steady. Beyond ready, traditional paths weren't for her. Hotels carried risks of recognition. Instead, on her direct orders, the team moved swiftly and silently to acquire a magnificent historic estate in Atlanta's prestigious West End neighborhood. Not an ostentatious modern mansion like the ones Marcus favored, but a restored early 20th century brick beauty with towering columns, intricate moldings, and expansive grounds that whispered generational wealth and quiet power, the kind rooted in resilience, not flash. Purchased outright in cash, no financing trails, title under the trust for ironclad privacy. When Aisha first stepped through the grand double doors, polished hardwood floors gleaming, sunlight streaming through stained glass accents, she felt the shift complete. The woman humiliated in that lobby weeks ago was gone. In her place stood Aisha Ademi, chief executive of Ademi Family Trust LLC, owner of an awakening empire. Meanwhile, several miles away in the Pinnacle penthouse, Marcus and Tiana basked in what felt like their golden era. "This next project is a game-changer, babe," Marcus boasted one lavish evening, pouring premium champagne into crystal flutes as city lights sparkled below. Having discarded Aisha without consequence, or so he believed, he felt invincible. His development firm aggressively pursued every high-profile opportunity. "Insider intel," he confided with greedy excitement. "Prime land, thousands of acres in central Georgia hitting the market soon. Ideal for luxury estates, golf resorts, exclusive enclaves. I have to secure the build contracts." Tiana, lounging in designer lingerie and snapping selfies with the bubbles, listened half-heartedly. "Yay, so sent tropes for the wedding and that new diamond tennis bracelet I showed you. Anything, princess, you deserve it all." But beneath the bravado, Marcus felt twinges of unease. A deal that massive demanded heavy capital partners, and his company's books were stretched thin from their non-stop extravagant lifestyle, private jets, designer sprees, VIP tables. "I'll line up investor meetings tomorrow," he muttered to himself. Soon, murmurs rippled through Atlanta's elite circles. A shadowy new entity making bold moves, cash purchase of a landmark West End estate retaining Malik, the legendary fixer from Midtown's financial towers. Company name, Ademi Family Trust LLC, vintage title, ultra-private. Marcus caught wind during a networking lunch. "Heard about this new player," a contact mentioned casually. Dropping serious money quietly, Marcus's interest peaked. Name ring any bells? Ademi? Nah, sounds old school, probably some legacy family finally cashing in. Opportunity knocked, Marcus thought. He instructed his assistant to pursue contact aggressively. He needed to pitch his grand vision for those coveted Georgia acres. Unbeknownst to him, every parcel he salivated over was already securely deeded to Aisha. The formal invitation arrived days later. Ademi Family Trust LLC expressed interest in reviewing proposals from Marcus Development Group. Meeting to be held at the CEO's private estate residence. Marcus was thrilled. They know my reputation, this is locked. That morning, he donned his priciest bespoke suit, practiced his charismatic pitch in the mirror, visualized sealing the biggest deal of his career. The estate's ornate iron gates parted slowly. Marcus parked on the circular drive, stepping into an elegant foyer of marble and antiques, timeless sophistication. A professional assistant greeted him coolly. "Mr. Marcus, this way to the conference library. The CEO will join shortly." He was ushered into a majestic wood-paneled room, long mahogany table, leather-bound books lining walls, tall windows overlooking manicured gardens. At the far end, a man reviewed documents on a tablet. Marcus assumed leadership. "Great to meet you, sir, Marcus." The man looked up, expression neutral. "Malik, strategic advisor, please sit." "The CEO is en route." Marcus settled, subtle nerves building. The room's atmosphere felt weighty, almost judgmental. Minutes stretched eternally, then precise, confident heels echoing on marble. Click-clack, click-clack. "Apologies for keeping you waiting." The voice, familiar yet transformed, laced with undeniable authority. Marcus turned gradually, breath-catching. Aisha stood poised at the opposite end. Bob flawless, emerald power suit fitting impeccably, glasses adding sharp intellect. Makeup refined, presence commanding. Her eyes held no lingering affection, no bitterness, just detached superiority. Marcus's mouth opened soundlessly. Aisha claimed the head seat with grace. Malik passed her a tablet discreetly. "Good afternoon, Mr. Marcus," she said evenly, voice resonating clearly. "I am Aisha Ademi, Chief Executive Officer of Ademi Family Trust LLC." She let the revelation land. "You've shown keen interest in developing specific Central Georgia properties. By coincidence, those properties are entirely under my ownership." The silence was suffocating. Marcus struggled for air. "This has to be some mistake." 2,000 acres, Aisha continued serenely. "All mine. Where did this come from?" She offered no explanation, pivoting to Malik. "Advisor, initial assessment of Marcus Development submission." Malik's tone was clinical, cutting. "Ambitious in scope, financially precarious, inadequate risk mitigation, revenue forecasts overly aggressive." Marcus reeled. He'd come to impress, an easy mark, not face dissection. "Hold on," he stammered, then switched to the honeyed tone he'd once manipulated her with. "Aisha, whatever went down, this is major business. We could collaborate. You know my track record. I'm Atlanta's top builder." Aisha's faint smile held no warmth. "I do know you, Marcus, intimately." She rose fluidly, his eyes lit with desperate hope. "As a courtesy, my team will perform comprehensive due diligence, full transparency into your operations, assets, obligations." "No partnership without clarity," Marcus faltered, exposing his books would reveal cracks. "Why the formality? It's us." "Precisely why formality is required," Malik interjected smoothly. "Standards. Accept or we pursue alternative developers. Rivals in Buckhead have already inquired eagerly." Trapped. Decline meant losing his dream project. Accept risked everything. "I'll permit the review," Aisha inclined her head. "Coordination forthcoming. Good day." Escorted out, Marcus's legs wobbled. The discarded wife now evoked pure fear. Part 4 of 6. Back at the Pinnacle that evening, Marcus burst through the penthouse door like a thundercloud, slamming it hard enough to rattle the designer vases. Tiana lounged on the plush sectional in skimpy new silk lingerie, scrolling her feed and sipping rosé. "Finally home, Daddy. How'd the big meeting go? Are we booking that private island yet?" "Shut it for a minute," Marcus roared, ripping off his tie and hurling his jacket across the room. His face was flushed, veins pulsing at his temples. Tiana sat up, shocked. He'd never snapped at her like this. "Excuse me, why are you yelling at me?" Marcus paced furiously, hands tugging his hair. "The whole thing's a disaster, way more twisted than I imagined." "What do you mean twisted?" Did they turn you down? No, not exactly. He stopped, breathing heavy. You're never gonna believe this. The CEO, the one pulling strings on that land, is Aisha. Tiana's glass paused midair, then lowered slowly. Her perfectly made-up face went slack. Aisha, the one we had tossed out like trash? She's not on the streets anymore, Marcus growled, pouring himself a stiff whiskey. She's got this massive historic mansion in West End now. Hired Malik, that cold-blooded fixer everyone whispers about, and she owns every damn acre I was chasing. Tiana's shock twisted into disbelief, then rage, not out of any loyalty to Marcus, but pure terror for her cushy future, designer bags, trips, status, all tied to his wallet. And now that wallet faced a direct threat from the woman she'd mocked most viciously. No way it's real, Tiana hissed, standing up sharply. She's bluffing, probably found some old sugar daddy to bankroll her little act. Yeah, that's it, she's just a kept woman playing dress-up. Marcus barely heard her, lost in his spiral. She demanded a full audit, every ledger, debt, asset. If I say no, she shops the land to my competitors. That bitter nobody, Tiana shrieked, nails digging into her palms. Who does she think she is, popping back up to wreck everything? I'll handle her myself, put her right back in her place. Don't stir more mess, Marcus warned, but his voice lacked conviction. He was too rattled. Tiana ignored him. She already schemed. Atlanta's rising black elite loved certain upscale spots, rooftop lounges, exclusive brunches, boutique cafes. She'd track Aisha down and humiliate her publicly, remind everyone and herself who really belonged at the top. Days later, through a gossipy mutual friend, Tiana pinpointed Aisha at a chic midtown wine bar, quiet corner table, natural light streaming in. Tiana arrived like a storm. Head-to-toe latest season couture, oversized sunglasses indoors, massive handbag swinging, makeup dramatic and flawless. Heads turned as she marched straight over and slammed her palm on Aisha's table, rattling the glassware for maximum attention. Well, look who's playing pretend, Tiana announced loudly, ensuring the whole room heard. Miss Aisha Ademi, climbing social ladders quick from lobby trash to overpriced coffee. Aisha glanced up calmly from her tablet, reviewing crop yield projections, took in Tiana's theatrics, then returned to her screen without a word. The deliberate indifference infuriated Tiana further. Hey, I'm speaking to you, don't act deaf, stay the hell away from Marcus, he's mine now, you had your shot and blew it. Aisha sighed softly, setting the tablet down with measured grace. Yours? Inanimate objects get owned, Tiana, last I checked you're still human, barely. Don't school me, you has-been, I see your game crawling back because Marcus is winning big. Pathetic, Aisha let out a low, chilling chuckle that carried no humor. Crawling back, why salvage trash I've already discarded? Tiana's cheeks burned scarlet under her contour. Aisha rose smoothly, now eye-level, presence towering despite similar height. Listen carefully, Aisha said quietly but with intensity that made Tiana instinctively step back. Marcus isn't my concern, his crumbling company is. And for your information, he came groveling to me for funding. Can't even sustain your spending habits without begging at my door. You're lying, am I? Aisha casually withdrew a sleek titanium black card from her wallet, placing it visibly. Server, the check please, and add this lady's tab to mine. She met Tiana's glare. Consider it generosity, you'll need handouts more than I do soon. Aisha collected her tablet and strode out, poised, unbothered, leaving Tiana standing frozen, the bar's patrons murmuring, phones subtly recording the spectacle. Tiana's takedown had backfired spectacularly. The calculated bait worked perfectly. While Marcus endured the humiliation of handing over every financial file to Malik's relentless team, watching his secrets unravel, Tiana's public meltdown seeded doubt in elite circles. But the real strike came from the audit deep dive. In the mansion's secure war room, walls covered in projected spreadsheets, whiteboards dense with timelines, Malik briefed Aisha one tense evening. This isn't a healthy company, he said flatly, highlighting red-flagged sections. It's a fragile illusion built on shortcuts and exploitation. Detail it. First category, materials fraud. He invoices premium-grade supplies, top-tier steel, concrete, but procurement records show cheap, substandard alternatives purchased instead. Pockets the markup. Structurally risky, could cause failures down the line. Aisha recalled Marcus boasting about a major overpass he'd completed. Nausea hit her. Second, vendor abuse. Avoids traditional loans to keep banks off his back. instead burdens small suppliers, aggregate pits, independent haulers, local equipment lessors. Delays payments months, even years, betting they lack resources to sue. A long list of names scrolled up. Many Aisha recognized from community networks, hardworking families Marcus had bled dry. Third, tax deception. Maintains dual accounting, one polished for authorities, one accurate for himself. Aggressive evasion, hundreds of thousands hidden. Aisha absorbed the full betrayal. The man she'd loved and supported for over a decade was not just unfaithful, he was a calculated predator preying on the vulnerable. "This arms us perfectly," she said, voice steady as granite. Malik nodded, anticipating her. His obsession remains those acres, believing partnership is imminent, blind to the supplier debts being his Achilles heel. Acquire them all, prepared 3 anonymous shell entities in Delaware. Will settle every invoice outright, cash payments. Vendors rejoice quietly, and Marcus feels sudden relief. Bills stop coming, attributes it to deal momentum rumors, thinks we're softening for investment. Timeline, 1 week. Then every debt he owed those small operators transfers to us. As orchestrated, harassing collector calls ceased for Marcus overnight, he interpreted it as fortune smiling, proof his big break loomed. Confidence swelled anew. Emboldened, he plotted the final play, reclaim Aisha personally. He still believed her core remained soft, forgiving, perhaps still harboring feelings. He dispatched an extravagant bouquet, white lilies, her former favorite, to the West End estate with a sentimental note. "I was deeply wrong, can we speak honestly? Dinner, just us, our old favorite place." Aisha nearly discarded the flowers in fury. Malik intervened. "Attend, let him bury himself deeper." That evening, Aisha arrived at the upscale Riverside restaurant, the very spot of his original proposal years ago. Marcus waited at their old corner table, impeccably dressed, vintage wine breathing, rehearsed remorse ready. "Aisha," he said tenderly, clasping her hand. She permitted it temporarily, skin cool against his. "I owe you profound apology. I lost my way completely." She waited silently, expression neutral. "Tiana was fleeting distraction, immense pressure, feeling alone while you tended your mother. I made terrible choices. Meaning my family duty justified your betrayal? No, my weakness entirely." Tears glistened convincingly. "Seeing you command that meeting, I realized the extraordinary woman I discarded. We could dominate together your land, my expertise." Aisha withdrew her hand deliberately. "Your persuasive skills remain impressive, Marcus. More refined than your business plans." Doubt flickered in him. "Perhaps you're correct," she mused, his hope reignited. "We should reconcile, but separate, personal from professional for now." "Absolutely. Business first? Audit results are in, serious discussion required. Tomorrow 10 a.m. my estate office, legal counsel welcome." She departed, leaving him beaming over the wine, certain he'd won her heart back. Part 5 of 6, the next morning, 10 a.m. sharp. Marcus arrived at the West End estate brimming with overconfidence, another lavish bouquet in hand, no lawyer in tow. He was certain this meeting was mere formality before reconciling with Aisha and securing his future. The conference library felt different today, colder, more formal. Aisha sat regally at the head of the mahogany table, posture impeccable. Malik stood like a sentinel beside her. No warm greetings, no coffee service, just towering stacks of meticulously organized legal binders. "Morning, Aisha," Marcus tried cheerfully, extending the flowers. "Thought these might brighten the room." "Sit, Mr. Marcus," Aisha replied, voice slicing through his charm like ice. His smile wavered as he complied. Malik stepped forward, placing the first heavy binder squarely in front of him. "Outstanding liabilities, Marcus Development Group," Malik began dispassionately. "Rivera Aggregates, $115,000 overdue. Precision Hardware, $82,000. Southern Machinery Leasing, $195,000, continuing across 15 vendors, verified total. $538,000. Marcus's face drained of color. "Those are under negotiation, no further negotiation required," Aisha interjected calmly. "All accounts have been settled, in full, settled." "By whom?" Aisha gestured to herself. "By entities affiliated with Adami Family Trust LLC." Malik slid binder 2 across, debt assignment instruments executed. "Copies enclosed, legally binding transfers." Marcus flipped pages frantically, heart pounding. The small suppliers he'd strung along no longer held his IOUs, they'd been bought out. In summary, Aisha said, leaning forward slightly, eyes locked on his, "Your company owes those hardworking vendors nothing now," she paused, letting the quiet build. "It owes everything to me." Marcus couldn't breathe properly. I can arrange terms, installments, interest. Terms aren't on offer," Aisha continued evenly, "nor is partnership or any personal reconnection." She pushed binder 3 forward with deliberate force. "Per assignment clauses, full balance is due immediately. You have 24 hours to remit $538,000 in cleared funds." 24 hours, Marcus exploded, panic breaking through. "That's impossible. No one moves that cash overnight." "I did," Aisha replied without blinking. You engineered this ambush." "I enforced valid, transferred rights," she said coolly. "Precisely as you enforced yours against me not long ago. If payment fails," Malik added, placing the final binder atop the stack, "we initiate liens. The Pinnacle residence, corporate offices, all heavy equipment and vehicles, court orders pre-drafted." "Good day, Mr. Marcus." Marcus stumbled out of the estate in a daze, weak vision tunneling. The trap he'd never seen coming had snapped shut. The ensuing 24 hours were pure torment, the shortest day of his life. Hour 1, aimless driving through Atlanta streets, cursing Aisha, Malik, fate itself. Hours 2 to 10. Desperate calls, bank manager laughed at emergency loan requests. "Your existing lines are maxed and no collateral without that Georgia deal, which you don't have." Business associates, golf buddies, favorowers, all suddenly unavailable. "Tough spot, man, out of town." Calls dropped. Word of his vulnerability had already spread like wildfire through back channels. Hour 11, back at the penthouse in frenzy. Tiana was admiring yet another new purchase, a custom evening gown laid across the bed. "Babe, doesn't this scream red carpet?" "Liquidate it," Marcus bellowed, eyes wild. "Everything, bags, jewels, clothes, watches, sell now." "We're done," Tiana recoiled. "What are you talking about?" "She bought every supplier debt, over $500,000 due tomorrow or we lose the condo, equipment, all of it." Tiana heard only the death knell for her lifestyle. Panic flashed, then fury. Exactly 24 hours later, 10 a.m. again, the penthouse doorbell chimed insistently. Marcus, unshaven and ragged from no sleep, yanked it open, clinging to faint hope Aisha might show mercy in person. Instead, Malik, composed as ever, flanked by 2 attorneys in sharp suits and a uniformed Fulton County court officer carrying official folders. "Deadline expired," Malik stated simply. "Wait, just a little extension." "Extensions weren't extended to Aisha," Malik cut in. "Per Superior Court order, we execute liens commencing now." The officer began applying bright red seizure stickers to walls, furniture, artwork. "This is my home," Marcus shouted, voice cracking. "Current collateral for obligation to my client," one attorney corrected coolly. "You and the resident female must vacate within 60 minutes. Essential personal items only." 1 hour later, the lobby of the Pinnacle, once Marcus's kingdom, turned into public theater. The same security team that had removed Aisha now escorted Marcus out firmly. Tiana followed, hysterical tears streaking her makeup, wrestling 3 overstuffed suitcases bursting with designer goods. On the hot sidewalk amid midday traffic, the explosion ignited. "All your fault," Tiana screamed, pounding his chest. "You swore you were untouchable, turns out you're just a cheap con." "My fault," Marcus roared back, rage unleashing. "Who bled me dry with endless demands, bags, trips, parties." "You parasitic." Their vicious argument drew crowds, phones recording every shriek. Tiana stormed off, hailing a cab to a luxury hotel, only for every card to decline at check-in. Marcus had frozen accounts in desperation, or banks had. Her support network vanished, calls ignored, texts unread. Malik's discreet leaks of audit highlights had poisoned her reputation overnight. The side chick of a failing fraud became social poison. That evening, their sidewalk brawl video went viral on local blogs and group chats. Tiana's once coveted face now mocked endlessly online. Influencer deals evaporated, doors to high society slammed shut. She resorted to selling pieces of her wardrobe one by one, discovering many gifts from Marcus were clever fakes, scraping by in obscurity she despised. For Marcus, bankruptcy was merely the opening act. Weeks later, crammed into a dingy shared apartment on the city's fringes, eating cheap takeout, he thought the worst over. One afternoon, knock knock. Atlanta PD. Marcus, last name, you're under arrest. For what? Debts are handled, not civil debt, the officer said. Criminal, substandard materials causing public safety risks on the Aminis 75 overpass contract. Tax fraud. Multiple felony counts. Marcus never learned Malik had anonymously forwarded concrete lab failures and double books to prosecutors and IRS flagged as public safety concern. Aisha watched the news that night in her peaceful estate study. Once prominent developer in cuffs, headlines screaming corruption. She felt no glee, no lingering hate, just quiet finality. That door closed forever, but her story was far from ended. 2 weeks after the dramatic seizure, Aisha and Malik gathered in the estate's sunlit war room, the long mahogany table now covered in vibrant architectural renderings, sustainability reports, and expansion blueprints instead of destruction documents. All Marcus development assets liquidated or repurposed, Malik updated professionally. Equipment auctioned, office contents cleared, penthouse proceeds applied to debt plus accrued interest and fees. Balance. Fully recovered, Aisha nodded thoughtfully. The penthouse itself, sell the imported fixtures and furnishings, recoup extra, then transfer clear title to Jamal at Southern Heritage Bank. Frame it as employee recognition for exemplary service. Malik allowed a rare, approving smile, touch of elegant irony. Jamal was the first to show kindness when I had nothing. He earns it. Now the core holdings. Proceed with Marcus's original luxury gated community vision. Aisha rose, walking to the tall windows overlooking the lush gardens her team had already begun restoring with native plants and fruit trees. Marcus dreamed of exclusive enclaves, high walls keeping everyday people out, viewing opportunity from afar. She returned to the table, tapping the new plans with purpose. I'm building the opposite, the blueprints unfolded. Phased community development across the 2,000 acres. First phase, 350 acres for Adami Village, modern, affordable single-family homes and townhouses. Energy-efficient designs, solar roofs, community orchards. Integrated clinic offering sliding-scale care, early childhood center, and K-8 Academy with advanced STEM and arts programs. For whom? Priority placement and deep discounts for our orchard employees and the small suppliers Marcus nearly bankrupted. Turn those he exploited into owners, building equity. His seized machinery will deploy it to construct the village, true poetic restoration. Malik's admiration was evident. Transformative, and another 60 acres for the Adami Leadership Institute, a full campus. Greenhouses for hands-on training, tech labs for precision agriculture, classrooms for business finance, contract law, negotiation skills. Scholarships covering all costs, targeting underserved communities statewide. She traced the layout. So fathers like mine never have to hide their success again, so daughters know how to protect it. This wasn't vengeance anymore. It was vision, correcting cycles, planting seeds for generations. Justice, however, had its own rhythm. Marcus, now scraping by in a cramped, run-down apartment far from Buckhead's shine, believed rock bottom had passed. Debt cleared, he could rebuild quietly. One ordinary afternoon, instant noodles steaming on a hot plate, heavy knocking. Police, open up, officers entered. Marcus, last name, you're under arrest, multiple counts including fraud, use of substandard materials endangering public safety, and tax evasion. Marcus froze. How? The debt was settled? This is criminal, sir, separate matter. He never discovered Malik's anonymous tip, forwarded lab reports proving faulty concrete in that overpass, plus the damning double ledgers submitted as concerned citizen to the district attorney and IRS. Aisha had approved it quietly. That bridge could collapse someday, lives at risk. This stops being personal, it's about accountability. Headlines erupted. Prominent Atlanta developer arrested in corruption scandal. Mugshot grim, cuffs tight. Aisha watched the broadcast briefly in her serene estate kitchen, then switched it off. No satisfaction, no lingering anger, just closure. 1 year later, Adami Family Trust LLC stood as a beacon in Georgia's evolving economy. The peach orchards flourished under cutting-edge sustainable methods, cover crops enriching soil, drone monitoring for precise watering, beneficial insects controlling pests naturally. Yields soared. Quality earned premium contracts with national organic chains and export partners. Workers thrived, wages doubled, full health care, retirement matching, on-site training paths to management. Community loyalty ran deep. Adami village bustled, families in new homes tending victory gardens, children biking safely to the acclaimed school, clinic hosting health fairs. Former suppliers Marcus squeezed, now owned outright, mortgages nearly paid off through trust incentives. The Leadership Institute's campus gleamed, graduates launching co-ops, sustainable startups, even policy advocacy groups. Alumni networks spanned the state, mentoring the next wave. Diversification bloomed. Value-added products like artisanal preserves, cold-pressed juices, and natural skincare from orchard byproducts lined shelves nationwide. Ecotourism weekends drew urban families for harvest experiences, farm stays, and educational retreats, extra revenue fueling scholarships. Valuations soared into 9 figures, but Aisha tracked different metrics: families housed, jobs dignified, futures empowered. Locals no longer whispered "ma'am" with fear. Orchard veterans called her Miss Aisha, or Benjamin's girl, with genuine affection. One golden afternoon, she stood atop a gentle hill overlooking endless rows of blooming peach trees, warm breeze carrying sweet fragrance. Footsteps crunched behind her. "Incredible sight," Malik said softly. No longer always in suits, he wore casual linen now, spending most weeks here rather than midtown. "Yes," Aisha replied, smiling freely, warm, complete. "Daddy called it an anchor. Turns out one anchor can support an entire fleet. You've built something enduring." "We have," she corrected, turning to him. Their partnership had deepened naturally, shared purpose evolving into shared life. Late-night planning became quiet dinners, strategy sessions, hand-in-hand walks through the groves. Malik took her hand gently. "Midtown keeps asking when the fixer returns." She squeezed back, firm and certain. "Tell them he's found his true role." He smiled fully. "As partner, in every way." They stood together as sunset painted the orchards pink and gold, over an empire forged from betrayal's rubble, rooted in justice, blooming with possibility for countless others. A legacy not hidden but shining. Family, we've reached the end of this powerful journey from rock bottom to building an unbreakable empire. What hit you hardest, the betrayal, the comeback, the justice, or the beautiful legacy? Which part made you cheer loudest? Drop your city below. I love reading every comment. If this story fired you up, smash like, send a super thanks to keep these real-life inspired triumphs coming, and subscribe with notifications on. So many more waiting. Turn that bell. See you in the next one, full of strength, love, and victory.